Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple. Today is Remembrance Service. My name is Annette Tashiro, and I'll be your MC for today. I'd like to welcome back Reverend Hasebe and thank her for officiating today's service. We will begin our service with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, that signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat.
Namanda, Samanda, Samanda, Namanda, Namanda.
If you are able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by everyone in Pali and English, found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 7.
namanda.
Please be seated. We will now chant Sambujo, found in the Red Service Book on page 9, led by Reverend Hasebe. The words of the Sambujo, which invite Amida Shakyamuni and all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, that is, all directions everywhere, symbolize our willingness to open our hearts and minds to receive the Dharma.
Namanda, 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 namanda.
We will now have the remembrance of those individuals who passed away in the month of June in any year. When the name of your loved one is read, please come forward to offer incense. Reverend Hasebe will ring the bell once after each name is called. After the remembrance ceremony is completed, Reverend Hasebe will ring the bell several times and then begin leading us in the chanting of the today's sutra, which is Sambutsuge, which is found in our Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 46 and starts on page 47. Found in the larger sutra, the Sambutsuge expresses Bodhisattva Dharmakara's praises of the Lokesvara Raja, Buddha, and expresses Dharmakara's desire to become the Amida Buddha and make 48 vows, thus establishing the Pure Land. While chanting, we join together in oneness with the Dharmakara's aspiration to attain Buddhahood and work for the enlightenment of all beings.
Namanda, namanda. Today, as we gather before the altar of Windward Buddhist Temple to observe the June Memorial Service, let us pause for a moment to pay homage to Amida, the Buddha of infinite light and infinite life, embodying boundless wisdom and compassion. Let us deeply reflect on the transience and uncertainty of life so that we may awaken to a true understanding of things as they are, not relying on a limited understanding, but entrusting ourselves to Amida's embracing light. May we live our lives in gratitude for the great benevolence we have received from our teachers, family, and friends. Today, as we remember our departed loved ones, let us seek to repay our debt of gratitude for the gift they have bestowed upon us by deeply listening to the Buddha Dharma. In realize Amida Buddha's wisdom, may we manifest compassion toward all beings. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Shizue Yonamine. Tsuya Imai and Wallace Fujikawa. Miyako Ochikubo, Katsumi, and Sadako Okada. Toshio Inaba, Toshio Larifunai, and Sadaichi Ikuta.
修行後者供養一切使徒処分不如愚道検証不逆非如後者処分世界無不可け無主節の法名師匠変死証拠尿税精進偉人難量量が三部国土第一五種奇妙道場国女内容任務闘争ガト愛民道達一切実法来生新年少女糸が国家楽安の公文神妙善が心象本願の日力所所欲実法世尊知恵無下上領子孫知が信用軽量心死食毒中願行精進忍術不敬ナマナブナマナブナマナブナマナブナマナブナマナブ願にしくどく平等性一切同本も大心往生安楽ナマンダーブナマンダーブナマンダーブナマンダーブナマンダーブ
If you are able, please rise for the recitation of the Shinshu Pledge II found on page 6. of the red Jodo Shinshu service book. Then remain standing for the Gatha, gentle hands, found on page 62 and 63. We'll be singing the song twice because there's only one verse. Shinshu Pledge II, entrusting in the vow of the Buddha and reciting the sacred name, I shall proceed through the journey of life with strength and joy, revering the light of the Buddha and reflecting upon my imperfect self. I shall strive to live a life of gratitude, following the teachings of the Buddha and discerning the right path. I shall spread the true Dharma, rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding others. I shall do my best towards the welfare of society. Namo Amida Butsu. Please be seated. Now we will have a Dharma message by Dexter Mar, and I'd like to call on our temple president, Dennis Tashiro, to introduce him.
Good morning, everyone. I've known Dexter for a number of years. A good friend of our temple. Dexter has lived in Kaimuki since 1990 and is a retired clinical pharmacist, medical intelligence specialist, and executive. He attends the Hawaii Betsuin Temple on Pali Highway and has served as temple president from 2018 to 2022. He continues to be active at the Hawaii Betsuin Peace Team and serves as statewide Hongwanji as a board advisor, Buddhist Study Center Program Committee member, and Ministerial Training Committee member. Dexter received his Tokudo ordination in Kyoto, Japan on October 9, 2025, and recently received the designation Tokudo Minister's Assistant. Dexter treasures pilgrimages to places his late wife and son loved to visit. I introduce Dexter.
Oh, thanks, Dennis. That's a great introduction. I'm delighted to share and visit with you folks here again at Windward Buddhist Temple. It's been quite a while since my last visit. I think it was probably before the pandemic, and with my now lovely partner, Faye, who has since passed to the Pure Land in October of 2024. I'm sure she's here with us today, though. Okay. She loved Windward Buddhist Temple. Let's put our hands together in Gassho and say the name with sincere minds and entrusting hearts. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. It is traditional to start Dharma talks with a quote from Shinran's teachings, but today I'd like to offer the current Honzan or Kyoto Head Temple Tokudo Pledge, which Rei Takuui and Rod Moriyama have previously talked here. We all did this sacred pledge during our ordination. And in English, we had to do it in Japanese, but here in English, number one, I affirm I will uphold the duties as a Buddhist minister for all of my life, never being neglectful of responsibilities to actively pursue knowledge and propagate the teachings. Two, with harmony as the main principle, I shall never cause disorder or trouble to occur within our religious institution. And three, I shall live a life of gratitude and benevolence of the Buddha, contributing towards the realization of a just and compassionate society. So those are our vows that we took in Kyoto. As this is Windward Buddhist Temple's June Remembrance Service, my message today will focus on ways to remember our dear loved ones and find a healing path from the pain of their passing. My healing path included the path of Tokudo, ordination as a Shin Buddhist priest. My journey has been a bit different than our other current Tokudo priest, Alan Goto, Barbara Brennan, both from Hawaii Betsuin, David and Irene Nakamoto, of course, who you know from Windward Buddhist Temple and retired, Linda Nagai in Kona, and my Tokudo partners, Rei Takuui Jr., Rod Moriyama, and all of these folks are legacy Japanese-American Shin Buddhist. Ray and Rod have shared their journeys with you, and it's my honor to conclude the trilogy. Ray's path was kind of a path of completion, because he had started Tokudo like 10 years ago, and through life circumstances, couldn't finish, and so he was on that mission. And Rod was, I think, as he told you last week, it was kind of a path of exploration. He didn't know what was going on because I strong-armed him into joining me because I didn't want to be the oldest one there. I grew up in post-war San Francisco Bay Area as a Chinese-American Methodist Christian and became a convert Shin Buddhist at the age of 60 in 2009. I was motivated by my son's sudden accidental death and inspired by his pre-cremation service before a figure of Amida. That's when we first met Reverend Hasebe. Looking at the face of our son Zach and the face of Amida, my wife Faye and I felt an embrace and peace. And we didn't know what happened, because we were Christians, basically. We wondered. So my Tokudo journey actually started at that moment, not knowing who Amida was or anything, but feeling what I now know is the embrace of Amida Buddha. We soon joined Faye's mother's temple, Hawaii Betsuin, and I became a minister lay assistant in 2012 to better understand the teachings and doctrinal rituals of Shin Buddhism and the temple. We volunteered to teach introductory classes in Buddhism and Shinshu to better learn ourselves. Years of teaching Dharma Talk programs to adults, some right here at Windward Buddhist Temple. I think some of you may have remembered when we were with Reverend David and Reverend Irene. Hongwanji Mission School children, the Pacific Buddhist Academy teens, they all helped us to progress along the Shin Buddhist White Path. The Tokudo path has been of interest to me as a better way to understand the Jodo Shinshu rituals and traditions, but it seemed to be a calling that only very few Hawaii Hongwanji MLAs responded to. MLAs are minister lay assistants, and remained a mystery to me until I became ordained as a Shin Buddhist priest on October the 9th, 2025. My commitment to undertake this quest began in earnest the day after my wife's passing, October 4th, 2024. And she returned to, I think, guide me, to make that decision. Because on that day, Bishop Umatani sent an email about possible October 25 Tokudo training in Kyoto. And so I made that commitment. My motivation was to honor Faye's commitment to the Hongwanji Shin Buddhist path by continuing forward across the two rivers, the Buddhist parable of the two rivers white path, to heal my grieving heart. A pilgrimage, I thought, dedicated to Faye, Little did I realize the additional burden of my not speaking Japanese or reading Japanese or having any musical talent. And fortunately, the 2025 International Tokudo group included 5 Europeans who also shared a lack of Japanese language. So I didn't feel completely alone. We did have a translator support, but immediate real-time directions, during training was a real challenge. You didn't know if they were yelling at you or, telling you to just, walk that way. Still, through the kindness and understanding of our instructors and fellow aspirants, we were able to endure. Starting in 2025, Honzan, our mother temple, revised the Tokudo program to include months of pre-Tokudo training held both here in Hawaii and California. The Hawaii program began in April of 2025. With the first step in January, we were told to begin memorizing the Shoshenge chant immediately. The Buddhist Churches of America offered 4 3-day, 2-night training sessions in January, March, June, and August at their Berkeley, California Jodo Shinshu Center training site. I joined the BCA sessions in March and June. At BCA, I met the 10 fellow aspirants from the BCA, Canada, and Europe. With our 3 Hawaii aspirants, we became the 2025 international group. We joined about 25 Japanese aspirants in Kyoto for a total class of about 40 aspirants. Were all these pre-Tokudo training sessions necessary? Well, I thought so, absolutely. Being a 76-year-old at the time, non-Japanese speaker, reader, non-singer, chanter, there were major disadvantages to overcome. I even found a voice coach to teach me the basics of pitch, pace, breath, pronunciation, and rhythm control. The training also involved group performance, doctrinal teachings, and proper attire. Much like martial arts training, right actions cultivate mental discipline and awareness as an integral part of our Tokudo training. The Tokudo pre-training and the formal Shirai training in Kyoto constantly reinforce these principles. From all over the world, Madrid and Barcelona, Spain, Dusseldorf, Germany, Schoten, Belgium, Toronto, Canada, White River, Washington, Palo Alto and San Diego, Albany, New York, and Honolulu, we gathered with our teachers in Kyoto and celebrated with a dinner at Mombo Kaikan, the Hongwanji Hotel, on September the 29th, 2025. The next morning, we would don our robes and enter the Nishiyama Dojo, our training center. Now, this probably gives Reverend Hasebe chills. This is the 11-day schedule, constant 24/7 flow of teachable moments. Even in my sleep, my mind would keep processing the day's events and prepare for the next activity. Wake-up call was at 5:30 a.m. each morning with a roll call at 5:50. So I tried to self-awake by 5 a.m. since alarm clocks were not allowed. After roll call, cleanup duties like scrubbing toilets and vacuuming corridors and classrooms and sweeping and dusting the main temple decks and stairs. We were, done in robes for about 20 minutes, followed by our robes off, robes on for a formal attire for the morning service at 7 a.m. Then robes off, robes on to our regular robes for breakfast, followed by morning classes until noon. Meals were a silent group event with good nourishing meals that needed to be devoured in less than 10 minutes. I think Rod was talking about that. Everybody talks about that. More afternoon classes followed by another facility cleanup before robes off, robes on to our formal attire for the evening service. Then robes off, robes on for dinner and more classes until the simple bedtime service, followed by bath, communal group bath, and lights out about 10:30. Finally, the anxiously awaited individual kadai, or chanting challenge. Okay. After the day 5, testing sessions were open in order to get your blue slip, approval slip, indicating that you've taken and passed the Shoshenge challenge. This was my biggest hurdle. I did my best, ganbatte, and by the kindness of the instructors, I passed. The entire schedule is carefully orchestrated training of mind and body to create an atmosphere and attitude of sacred responsibility for becoming a Hongwanji Shin Buddhist priest. The awareness of representing our 800-year-old tradition and mission to learn and share the teachings was reinforced constantly. Reverend Igor Makasuk of Palo Alto Buddhist Temple, who completed Tokudo training in 2023, reflected, this was a time when you learned to live with others in an intimate, communal, survivalist kind of way. Training is a time when you test your ability to share your space and time, put other people first, and be under some pressure. This is a time when you test how you can adjust, listen, and do what you're told. The Hongwanji instructors patiently corrected our mistakes and accepted us the way that we were. The Nishi Hongwanji Tokudo Shirai seemed a perfect balance of intense ritual, doctrinal, mundane, sacred, historical, and transcendent moments. The evening Tokudo ceremony took place in the huge, dark main temple with just the 40-plus aspirants, the attendants, a few observers, and the Gomonshu, the head priest of Hongwanji. Though nervous about doing our parts in perfect unison, I couldn't help but feel the weight of joining tens of thousands of Jodo Shinshu priests who preceded us, starting with Shinran Shonin 800 years ago. In training, I had been allowed to wear robes during many sessions at the at mission headquarters, Moilili Hongwanji Temple, and the Jodo Shinshu Center and in the Nishiyama Dojo. Now I officially have the right to wear the robes, and I have the rest of my life to prove that I deserve wearing them. It's been about 9 months, since our Tokudo ordination, and Faye's Hawaii one-year memorial service was held on November 22nd, 2025, at Hawaii Betsuin. We actually had a memorial service at the Nishiyama Training Center because our group was assigned to perform a memorial service, and it was dedicated to Faye on the anniversary of her passing, October 3rd. So it was very auspicious, and at that moment I knew that I had made the right decision to proceed. Our service was co-officiated with Reverend Hasebe, and we had Rod and Ray joining us, as well as Barbara Brennan and Alan Goto. It's a beautiful service and a special milestone, not only to my Tokudo journey, but also to my continuing journey in life, and the weight of the robes has grown with the responsibility that it represents. So what's next? What does it mean to me to be a Shin Buddhist priest? We recite the Tokudo pledge at ordination, promising just 3 vows, not 48 like Dharmakara. Simply put, duty, harmony, and gratitude. On the day before our ceremony, our instructors had us write a personal pledge and recite that before Amida at the Nishiyama training altar. Mine is, I pledge to continually learn, understand, and share the Dharma through words and actions. 2, I shall live my life with joyful gratitude and Amida's infinite light. And 3, I shall respectfully serve the Honpa Hongwanji mission of Hawaii and Hawaii Betsuin with aloha. So learn, share, live, and serve. But how will I complete my vows? Well, for number 1, here's my understanding that has grown during my Tokudo journey, at least up to today. And there are 3 areas which I have kind of a more clear understanding. First is the scope of Shin Buddhism as a Shin Buddhist priest. Second is my approach as a Shin Buddhist priest. And 3 is my understanding of other power. Now, for the scope of Shin Buddhism, having fellow aspirants from the BCA, Canada, Europe, and Japan has brought the realization that an ordained Shin Buddhist priest is a global designation and not just limited to here in Hawaii. When you get ordained, you get ordained with a certificate from Honzan in Kyoto. Okay? The Honpa Hongwanji part of Honpa Hongwanji mission of Hawaii is worldwide. Not only as a priest in Hawaii, I wear the robes all the time, everywhere. The weight of the robes gets still heavier. Second, my approach as a Shin Buddhist priest. The mission statement of the mission of Hawaii is to share the living teachings of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism to bring harmony, peace, and gratitude to all people. And this has taken on a new meaning to me. Sharing is more than just teaching and communicating. It includes giving and helping. For example, I've learned that rather than just coping with grief by suppressing my feelings, our rituals and teachings reveal what I call paths of healing. From a defensive mental survival mode to a more proactive heart-mending one. This may be a result of my former healing arts professional training as a clinical pharmacist. Shin Buddhist priests have an opportunity to relieve suffering through applying healing practices through difficult times. Professor Paula Arai, the author of a little book of Zen healing, which I have a copy here that I'm going to leave for Windward Buddhist Temple so you can put it in your library and take a look at it. She happened to be our Bloom Futaba, 26th annual Bloom Futaba Memorial Lecture Series speaker on November the 8th, right after we got back from Japan. I was fortunate then to spend time with her discussing ingrained actions of Japanese Buddhist women to deal with everyday struggles. Her research, is which took about 15 years, was about how adult Japanese Buddhist, Zen Buddhist women, kind of use their Buddhist values and training in their everyday lives, and that was her PhD thesis. And she wrote a more scholarly book about it, and she was told by her friends that this is a great topic, but it needed to be kind of written in a way that was more understandable for regular folks. And so during the pandemic, she had some time, and she wrote this one, which is very approachable. Okay, so hopefully you'll each get a chance to take a look at it. Okay, her perspectives on everyday rituals, can heal broken spirits in addition to provide mental coping mechanisms. In her book, she has this illustration about these kind of rays of sunlight, that are these 10 different practices, or 10 kind of suggestions on how to cope with things. One, experiencing interrelatedness, creating beauty, expressing gratitude, nurturing yourself, accepting reality, embodying compassion, orchestrating rituals, living body, heart, and mind, expanding perspective, and enjoying life. And these really work. Though they're considered domestic Zen rather than doctrinal Zen, they're a distillation of 1,000 years of Japanese cultural Buddhism, revealed by Paula's pioneering research and insight as active healing practices. As the image conveys, the healing activities are illuminating rays of light, just kind of like Amida, penetrating our wounded darkness, just like the Amita's infinite light. As a newly minted Shin Buddhist priest, I'm committed to relieving suffering, including Professor Arai's 10 healing principles in my basic toolkit. And third, my developing understanding of other power, our famous Tariki. This Tokudo journey has more fully informed my understanding of many Shin Buddhist teachings, and my personal insights on our alternative to self-power, which is other power, or Amida power, now include at least these three components. Natural energy, together energy, and bodhisattva energy. The natural energy is really the basic scientific principle of cause and effect. We call that in Buddhism karma. For example, how one thing is led to the next on this Tokudo journey. Okay? Higashi Hongwanji folks have this tremendous saying that they developed about 10 years ago. Now life lives you. And that's, I think as, us as kapunas, we kind of know that that's intrinsically true, that life happens. And, all we can do is, learn and keep on adjusting. Now, together energy is the Buddhist principle of interconnectedness and codependency. And that was reinforced, of course, in Tokudo training. Reverend Igor was saying, this is the time when you learn to live with others. We built bonds and teamwork together. In our Tokudo experience, we were 13 strangers when we kind of started, and now we're we had to work together, for the 11 days when we were there. And one of the additional partners that I shared a room with Ray at Tokudo training will be here summer session, Reverend Dr. Aaron Prophet. And so I hope he'll give some insights on what he thought about Tokudo training. He wrote an article on Lion's Roar, which was very good too. And finally, bodhisattva energy, personal Buddhas. Shinran's concept of Genso Echo, or the ideal of returning to the world to help others after achieving enlightenment. It's especially true with the remembrance of our day and bone dance season, when we think about our departed loved ones, but how they're, always here for us. Professor Arai, calls them personal Buddhas. So, because we know that when our loved ones pass, they have no more burdens of our human sufferings, of our bone in nature, and they instantly become Buddhas. So the thought of them becoming our, not only Buddhas everywhere, but our own personal Buddhas really resonates with me and thinking about my wife Faye. So as many have said, Tokudo ordination is a gate to another beginning. I hope that service to the mission of Hawaii, Hawaii Betsuin, and the Buddhist Center, Buddhist Study Center, will be by helping with regular and memorial services, training other minister lay assistants, and developing kind of new Buddhist Study Center education programs, and to continue learning and growing. Plus, always never forgetting to live life with joy and gratitude. This was a profound, powerful, and memorable experience as I joined the long line of tens of thousands of Shin Buddhist priests, beginning with Shinran Shonin. Through the efforts of many in the Hongwanji Ohana, the Tokudo path is open to all those with sincere minds and trusting hearts. I hope other Hawaii Hongwanji Shin Buddhist followers have this opportunity someday. So let's say the honored name with sincere minds and trusting hearts. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This painting comes from a collection of art that Paula Arai is the curator for. And this is like a 16-foot by 9-foot kind of mural. It takes like the whole wall. and it's by a Shin Buddhist named Iwasaki Tsuneo. And this was, one of his inspirations about how, Amida surrounds us throughout the universe. Okay. Thank you very much. It was great to see you, and hope to talk to you at the fellowship time.
Thank you so much, Dexter. If you are able, please rise for the Gatha when we see the golden sun found in our purple songbook on page 212. And then remain standing for the Nembutsu. Please be seated. Thank you for attending today's service. And now we'll have announcements by our President, Dennis Tashiro.
Thank you, Dexter, for sharing your message. That's a tough journey. Hopefully one of you will go.
Never too old.
Oh, Cookie will go. Okay, thanks again. Thank you also, Reverend Yuika, for leading our service and being a part-time babysitter. Thank you, Annette, for being the MC today. Thank you, Alan, for being a greeter. And thank you, Prudence, for ringing the Kansho, the bell. And of course, thank you, Joy, for playing the piano, and Ryan, who's recording today's service. We do have a few guests. Ellie and Sylvia, they're members of Hawaii Betsuin. They live in Kailua, so I scolded them. Why aren't you coming here? But anyway, welcome. We have Tricia and her daughter, Sophia. Thank you very much for coming. And haven't seen her for a little while. Emma is back from school. I heard she's got all A's in her grades. That is correct, right? Okay. We're coming up to our busy time of the year. Our Bon Dance will be here in just 2 weeks. In preparation for the Bon Dance, next Saturday, July 4th, we'll be constructing the what we call yagura, or musician stand. And it'll begin at 8 o'clock. And some of us are getting older, so we need a lot of young guys to help. So any help you can offer your friends, your relatives, please, would be greatly appreciated. Now next week, July 5th, will be our Obon service with guest minister, Reverend Joshin Kamuro from Mililani, Hongwanji. Obon is an event described as a joyful gathering to pay respect and express gratitude to ancestors and departed loved ones, and to feel the joy of living in accordance with the Buddha Dharma. This service is also for people observing Hatsubon, or the first memorial for people who have passed away since the last Obon. For those who will be observing Hatsubon, please contact me and I will provide more information. Now next week, leading up to the Bon Dance, we'll have Bon Dance practice on Wednesday night, July 8th, beginning at 7 p.m. We'll be getting this main hall ready for the Rummage sale and sale of takuan, bitter melon namasu, pickled cabbage, variety of baked goods, a lot of manju, Okinawan nantu. Our food booth that will be always use our neighbor's garage. We'll be selling a variety of food items, a lot of good stuff. I call on Merle to give more information about the food booth.
Okay, it's coming. We're getting there. We have a lot of donations. We still have a few more items that we're looking for donations for the food booth. I'm very happy to announce that our volunteers have stepped up, and so now we're almost fully staffed for the food booth, and that's a crew of almost 50 people. So it takes a village to do this. And I'm really grateful to all of you, and don't forget that, if you want to buy any items, you got to be here early, even for the rummage sale and for the baked goods, because our food booth will probably sell, our plates will probably sell out by 7:30, 8 o'clock or something like that. So for those of you who are attending, come early, stand in line early if you want to get the food. But if you also have any desire to come up and help, let me know. If you can donate items, like I say, we still have items that need to be donated, ingredients and items, things. Thank you.
the best thing in a food booth is andagi, because I'm in charge of it. Thank you, my twin brother. On that day, on July 11th, we have secured parking at the Kailua Elementary School. So parking will be available from 4 o'clock, and gates will then close at 11 p.m. The rummage sale in this space will start at 5 o'clock, and there's usually a line of people waiting to get in. So there'll be a lot of interesting things for sale. The food booth will start selling from 6 p.m., okay? And then the dance itself will start at 7 p.m. Now, the next day, Sunday, July 12th, we're going to need help again. We have to then take down the yagura and clean up. So if you can join us on that Sunday and help us, we'll be greatly appreciative of that, of your help. And there's no Sunday service on that day. A reminder that the Buddhist Study Center's 2026 summer session will be held July 26th to the 29th with guest speaker Reverend Dr. Aaron Prophet. The registration deadline is July 20th, and more information can be found on our bulletin board. Reverend Kevin Kuniyuki will be conducting another adult Buddhist education class on July 18, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to noon. The theme of this class is Understanding Buddhism and Shin Buddhism using the graphic novel Shoshinge Saga. This Japanese manga, translated in English, is the primary resource that will be used to start to understand the sutra Shoshin Nembutsu Ge, also referred to as Shoshinge, authored by Shinran Shonen, our founder. This sutra can be found in our red service book. Attendees will be provided with copies of the graphic novel. And if you are interested, I do have a sign-up sheet on that table in the back, so please sign up. Now, are there any other announcements? Oh, Bob. Bob is our librarian.
I got this book last week and I read it about 4 days. It's an interesting book. Title is A Buddhist Fable. It's a story about animals for the children, and I'm going to put it on this children's book, but I'm going to put it in adult section so that the adults can read it with the children and you can share and understand the Buddhism much better through the animals' way, by being a teamwork instead of yourself only. I got that as I read all the way through, and sharing, I thought it would be interesting. So you'll be on the adult sections instead of children's section. And Dexter's book, I'll log it in and be ready for it the following week. Thank you, Dexter. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dexter, for your donation of that book. Appreciate that. Now, next Sunday is the first Sunday of July. Ordinarily, first Sundays, we have special activities, such as intergenerational activity, usually crafts created by the ingenious Prudence. It's also birthday Sunday. But we're going to kind of push that back because our bone service is so important. We'll push it back to the 19th. That'll be the second service, the third Sunday. Okay? So if you have a birthday in July, show up on July 19th, and we can wish you a happy birthday. But also come for the special craft making by Prudence. Okay? All right, I'm getting hungry. Let's have refreshments. Let's do words of thanksgiving. That'll be on the screen. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you, everyone.